we realized that it wasn't sustainable, right? And essentially, money dried up or has dried up in the country. And I have a couple of charts. As you can see, I'm a very big fan of charts. So I have a couple of charts that show that. This is foreign direct investment into Nigeria in billions. Once we entered 2010, foreigners left the country. Nobody wanted to invest in factories or businesses in Nigeria anymore. They're still not bringing in their money. So they can come in to buy your bonds or your FX, but they're not going to stay. Their money is going to go. So the capital that we need has to be internal. Unfortunately, the Nigerian government is also very broke, and that's a fact. This chart shows non-oil revenues adjusted for inflation. If you look from it become worse at generating revenue from the economy in real terms. So when the tax office says that they've recorded a record tax revenue of 10 billion, that's fine. When your inflation is 15%, you are expected to generate more gross taxes. The question is, what does that look like in real terms? And the answer is that it looks pretty bad. The government is earning less and less money over time. Now, if the government is earning less money, foreigners aren't bringing in their money, a lot of Nigerians are poor. The only respite is, can we borrow money from the future to help us today? The answer ideally should be yes. And that's what the government has tried to do. That has generated quite a lot of controversy. Now, the debt story is very interesting because there are only about 10 countries in the whole world whose debts in comparison to their GDP is better than Nigeria. That's how little debt we have. So in theory, we have a lot of room to borrow for the future or from the future. The problem is, as soon as borrowing, they realized that they could not avoid structural issues. Okay, this seems to be going further away, but they realized that they could not avoid structural issues, right? Because once the government started borrowing, they ran into the problem where, because they're earning so little money, for every naira that they earned in 2018, they spent 60 kobo just servicing the existing debt. Now, it doesn't matter if I don't have any debt. If the little I have, I can't pay it back, no one is going to lend to me. So the government is seeing that actually their capacity to borrow is constrained by the structural issue of, I have not been growing my revenues. So if the government can't borrow, maybe the people can borrow. As you can see, that's not really happening, right? This is domestic credit to the private sector in Africa. Nigeria is doing below average. If you look at this next chart, it is UN data where they asked small businesses if they have access to loans or credits. Again, businesses can't borrow money, grow. So the government can borrow, people can borrow, businesses can borrow, and we don't have money. Putting all that together, you have a serious financial problem, right? So, summary, we're not productive, we can't trade, we don't have much money. How do we solve this? We think that there are two key solutions, right? Innovation and better governance. And I'll quickly end by talking through those two. The first is innovation, and I'll tell a very funny story, which you can see to illustrate this. Last year, the NBS took a survey of private guards in the country and found that there are about 800,000 registered private security guards. Of these, 200,000 are university graduates. So these are people that spent between 3 and 7 years going to school to become private guards and earn about 50,000 naira a month. That is a lot of time to do unproductive work. Enter a company like Andela, right, which some of you may be familiar with. In 6 to 18 months, they take a young Nigerian and give them skills that allows them to get a job where they are valued at, say, 500,000 a month. So from being able to only produce 50,000 naira value to the country, they can now instantaneously produce 10 times that. This is the same story with fintech and any other type of innovation. It helps you cheat productivity. That's why we need more of that. Last year, when he was trying to build his business into the transportation network as well, it already existed. The US Post had existed for hundreds of years. So he leveraged that infrastructure. He lived in a country where government...
Thank you. I did not enjoy that. Everyone enjoyed it. So it's not just about... I will with coming is the politicians, not you and the policy. They are the ones that create the enabling environment. So we've got just about 10 to 15 minutes to play with. And there are two things that we can do with this 10 to 15 minutes. First, let me share with you the information that Professor Amit Zima, Professor of Social Policy and Comparative Politics at the University of Munster, has sent in an apology. She is a bit unwell and will not be able to join us today. So that leaves us a bit of time. And that time we have two options. One is for those who would like a cup of tea and coffee. While that is going on, Obi insists that we should so means that I'm going to have the ushers bring markers in democracy and nation building. So I would like to engage you, and I will probably want to start from the front by asking one or two people who have been in politics to share their experience 1 minute each, and then we'll engage you to talk about what citizens ought to be doing. But anybody that wants a cup of tea or coffee, it's at the back right there. So please, I'm going to arm twist somebody I call my big brother by saying that he's got to give 2 minutes. Yes, I'll come to you in just 1 minute by giving us just 1 minute his own perspective on the role. Please let me give the microphone to Professor. Yep, right here. Professor Patitomi, just in 1 or 2 minutes, the role of citizens in democracy and your perspective, having being able to throw in the electoral and be part of the so-called political elite in Nigeria, please.
Well, thank you so much. I'd like to thank friends, the lead presenter on the economy. I mean, that is as beautiful and as brilliant as you can get in making this come alive. But you know the real problem? The real problem is that we are not able to talk about these things. And I'll tell you why we're not able to talk about them. The German philosopher Jürgen Habermas talks about modern conversation in Nigeria, because the moment you point to something that is important that we need to talk about to solve it, the Ministry of Information will send people to begin to blackmail you on social media, call you all kinds of names. So our country is in a terrible position because we have the wrong people in public office who don't even understand the meaning of public conversation. Now, part of what has happened to us that we need to deal with is how to bring in the majority of thinking people into discussion about where our country is and what should be done in a rational manner other than your rational public conversation. And it is professionals, and this goes back to something that I was involved with more in 1993, when this country was sleeping and sleeping. I was going to fall across. I thought, look, what can bring us back is for professionals, people who ordinarily say, we don't want to be involved, to engage. And that's how the concerned professionals started. Where we are today, in my view, and I've been speaking about this in the country about it, is that we have a situation. Again, go back to political philosophers. The thing that most people remember Montesquieu as contributing to the American of public virtue, that the people who are in the public sphere have to be people who are consumed by the advance of the common good of all, rather than by this narcissism, this self-love that drives people who can sometimes go into the public arena. And I take Montesquieu and come down to our own context and the work of Peter Eke. Professor Peter Eke was head of political science at UI. In 1975, wrote a famous article, Colonialism and the Publics. And the point that Peter Eke tries to make is that there's a public realm, there's a private realm. The public realm in our situation, as a result of colonialism, is fractured into two, the primordial and the civic culture. The central issue for Peter Eke in Western political thought is morality in public life. But colonialism has broken things such that we invest morality in the primordial realm, so that when you cannot even steal a kobo from your village association meeting, it's okay to steal the entire federal treasury if you're a minister. And when you bring it home, your people will celebrate you for taking the... So morality belongs to this realm and not to the civic culture. Our challenge in Nigeria is to bring into public life people of public virtue, as Montesquieu would call it, or people of morality, as Peter Eke would call it, or people with values in leadership, as Patutomi will call it. And one of the things that they would learn is that if you are a public minister of information, your business is to create an arena of public conversation that can elevate the common good of the country. Not to get people to attack everybody who does not see the world the way you see it. That's why we're stuck in Nigeria right now. And professionals must get up and stop such people from getting into public life.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. Okay, there's a lady there who's got just your name and one quick point. Very short, so that others have a chance.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sewe Sibem. I ran for state legislature in Benue State. That was a grassroots politics, and I will be dwelling mostly on the electorate. Nigerian electorate, especially from the geographical zone of Middle Belt or North Central zone up to Northern Nigeria, we run politics as if it's a traditional dance. We are treated as if we are a bride about to be given out. And attributes required from a candidate, it's not about capacity, it's not about what the candidate is going to give out, but some social and really incompetent attributes that doesn't matter. As a young woman, as a young unmarried woman, when I vied for office, the questions were from the electorate: are you married? How old are you? What is your qualification? When do you intend to